Hi, and welcome to the Secret Hit Songwriting Formula. If you're new to the channel on YouTube, please be sure to subscribe. Or if you're watching on Facebook, please be sure to like this page. We do weekly videos here showing you how to recognize the patterns found in hit songs because there is a secret hit songwriting formula. All songs that have become radio hits throughout the decades have followed certain patterns within the compositions in order to become commercially successful, and we teach you how to use those patterns here so you can use them in your own songs. So today we'll be looking at a bar time favorite, Closing Time by Semisonic. I still remember my dad owning this CD, and it was fun when this record first came out. Really good record all the way through, even though it really only yielded this big hit. I'd recommend checking out that Semisonic album, Feeling Strangely Fine. So this song follows the formula of 3's. That is to say that every song section, whether it's the verse, the chorus, what have you, is going to follow a 3-note rhythmic hook in specific patterns, okay? So the concept of our secret formula is self-similarity. The part contains the whole contains the part. In this case, that is a 3-note hook. So, in our book, The Secret Hit Songwriting Formula, which you can get at this website, we talk about an important rule. It's called the once every 4 to 8 measures rule, okay? And more often than not, it's the once every 4 measures rule, okay? So what this rule means is basically our 3-note dominant hook only has to establish itself once every 4 measures of music, okay? So a measure of music is, in this case, 4 beats a measure. Closing time, that's a measure, right? Open all the doors and that's another measure. You out into the world, another 4 beats. So there's another imaginary measure there, okay, right? So it's this hook we're going to be looking at. Closing time, right? It's 3 syllables, okay? And we talk about the once every 4 to 8 measures rule. There's a few ways that this hook can establish itself every 4 measures. One of them is simply by appearing in the same place every time it occurs in the measure. So as you'll notice in our verse of Closing Time, the closing time, not only does it get its own measure, those are the only 3 notes that appear in that measure every single time, okay? But they also are always 3 syllables. Closing time. Okay, and they also appear in the exact same place of the measure every time. Closing time. We can always rely on that 3-note rhythmic hook. So it doesn't really matter what's going on the rest of these phrases. We can mark them all insignificant. They just don't matter. I'm not even going to bother filling them in. Why don't they matter? Because every time we get to the first measure of each 4-measure phrase, that first measure just has the words closing time in it. That's it, nothing more, nothing less. It's a 3-syllable hook that appears in this exact same place every measure. So that's how the once every 4 to 8 measures rule works, okay? In order to follow a 3-note formula, one does not need to simply, have 3-note hooks separated by rests or with breaths appearing over and over again. No, that's not necessary. You only need that 3-note hook to appear once every 4 measures as long as it's establishing itself in an obvious way, which this one is. All right, so if our verse has that 3-note rhythmic hook built in to it, that is setting up our subconscious mind to expect a 3-note hook when the chorus hits. And when the chorus contains that 3-note rhythmic hook, it's very satisfying to our subconscious mind, as if we've known the song all along, and that's what makes it so successful. So when we get to the chorus here in green, I know who I want to take me home. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? It just repeats itself 3 times. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Take me home. Okay, and then there's the take me home, another 3-note syllables there in that phrase. Okay, so the chorus also has a dominant 3-note rhythmic phrase. This time it's not using the once every 4 to 8 measures rule. It's simply regurgitating itself and breaking up neatly into 3-note syllabic groups. Okay? So there you have it. The verse follows a 3-note rhythmic hook using the once every 4 to 8 measures rule, and the chorus follows a 3-note rhythmic hook simply by adding it up syllable by syllable. Okay, so that's really only the two, there's only those two sections in closing time, the verse and the chorus. Now, when we get into our second verse, some people may point out that, wait a second, when we get up to the "so gather up your jackets, move into the exits, I hope you have found a friend." They're like, wait a second, 4 measures has gone by, and we didn't see our little closing time, okay? Well, a couple answers to that. First of all, in our second verse, we still have the closing time hook, the first, the second, and the 4th time, okay? And since we've already established it 4 times in this first verse, we can get away with fudging one of them and skipping one of them in the second verse, okay, to have a little variation. Well, that's true, but we still must follow the once every 4 to 8 measures rule, correct? So, in this verse where they throw in this variation, here's a different way we can accomplish the 4 to 8 measures rule. We're going to look for the phrases that are rhythmically congruent, okay, meaning they're the same rhythm. So gather up your jackets, move into the exits. So for counting the measures, so boom, here's beat 1, gather up your jackets. And then here's another measure, move into the exits. These measures are rhythmically congruent. Gather up your jackets, move into the exits, right? And not only are they rhythmically congruent, but those rhythmically congruent phrases also break up into 3's. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay? So there you go. Even in this little variation in the second verse, this little 4-measure variation where we didn't see the closing time, we still find two rhythms that are congruent, and they both break into 3-note rhythmic hooks. So the once every 4 to 8 measures rule is accomplished in that 4-measure phrase, although it's a little bit differently, okay? So there we have it. That little variation also follows a 3-note rhythmic hook. What's kind of cool is the keyboard interlude of this song, where it goes da 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 da, right? They repeat that rhythm 3 times, also a 3-note hook. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay? And even though instrumentals don't need to necessarily follow the formula like the book talks about, in this song it's helpful because there's such a long instrumental section, especially in the studio recording, where we have piano solos and then a guitar solo, and that would be a long time to go without any kind of 3-note hook. So even though our guitar interlude doesn't follow the 3's because it doesn't have to, this keyboard interlude does follow a 3-note rhythmic hook, so our ears don't have to go too long without hearing a 3-note rhythmic hook. So there you have it. Closing time follows the formula of 3's. Using the once every 4 to 8 measures rule. A couple different ways you can follow that rule is if the hook appears in the same place in the measure every time, like it does here, or if you have multiple congruent phrases during a variation that also break into 3's like it does there. Also another way to follow the once every 4 to 8 measures rule. If you need more help with this, please visit www.secrethitsongwritingformula.com. We've got the only ebook in the world there that gives away these patterns with money-back guarantee if you're not satisfied. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.